Off. Traders, welcome to the official AMA for the CWAP Algo, the one that we just did the webinar on yesterday, of course. And so we'll be doing some training here today. Of course, it's great to have great tools, but it's necessary to know how to use them. So that's what we'll be diving into today. We'll look at really everything that the algo can do, some of the different options you have as a trader, and some of the ways that you can look to continue, being successful with the algo in terms of optimizations and really understanding what it can do. Now, there's a lot of us here, so if you have questions, feel free to ask away. But bear with me. With everybody here, it might take me a while to get through some of the questions. Okay, so if you do have questions, go ahead and type them in, but please just be patient. It's probably going to take me a little bit to get to you. And then, of course, we are recording the event. So if you have to run, don't worry about it. We'll get you the recordings. Not an issue. Okay. Oh, man, David, that's a rough one. Yeah, we'll get you some success. There's ways to be successful with things. Of course, we can't guarantee anything, but we'll do our best to make sure you've got the best foot going forward. And yes, of course, Andrew, we will get you settings, not an issue. Purchase back, existing updated. Yeah, this is the second AMA on CWAP. Yep. So Jeff, why don't you touch on, I know there was a recent update to a couple of the algos. Can you just touch on briefly what might have been updated, if anything's changed, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, are we talking specifically CWAP or
Yeah, let's
um
just talk CWAP.
okay. Actually let me pull up the list here.
Hmm.
Just one second. Matrix. Just we sent 5 of them out, so that's why I just want to make sure I remember.
Yeah.
So for CWAP, nothing big. Um, there's a message on the screen when you run in backtest mode, just to remind you that there's no live trades. There's some people that send in support tickets asking why. So it's just to help answer that question. And then the other was simply a change, not a change, but an additional option when you're running back tests. And this only applies if you're using money management in your back test. So when you're running trading live, if a money management rule is triggered, then a pop-up appears informing you that it happened and giving you, telling you, hey, you can exit the trade immediately by going to the drop-down button and clicking the menu and then clicking the off option in the drop-down. That will close out the trade immediately and also discontinue further trading. But the back tests were originally designed to take mid-trade exits. As soon as the money management rule is triggered, it would exit the trade in the back test so that you can understand what it would be like for your performance if that's what you were doing when you were trading live and you were attending you were watching the algo trade, and then when you see the pop-up, you would exit the trade.
Mm.
But we wanted to add the option to run your back test, assuming assuming that you wouldn't be attending the algo and letting it run unattended. And in that case, then what happens is the trade continues after that pop-up and will continue until it hits a stop or target. So the option that we added was to either choose to to exit the trades immediately in the backtest or to let them play out until they hit the stop or target. So it's
Oh,
just an
cool.
on-off button. So that's the only things we changed for CWAP.
Yeah, nice. Very good. All right. Thank you, Jeff. All right. So as you know, we can't guarantee results. Okay. Back tests are back tests. Live trading is live trading. Please understand that there's risk in trading. Please understand what you can afford to risk and understand that our products and services are for educational purposes. We cannot tell you how, when, where, why, or what to trade or how much. Okay. So that is entirely at your sole discretion. Okay. So now that we have covered that, let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to take a look at the chart. I think is a good place to start, and just to see what the algo is doing. So let me pull this up here. There we go. So I've got a chart here on MNQ. This is on the 1000 volume bar, and this is through live. So this is through today. and we can go in and take a look at what this algo is doing. So let's break this down. I'm going to get my draw tool ready so we can draw on the screen and go over it together and all that stuff. Interesting, that's different. Okay, Zoom did some updating and there we go. Cool. Okay, so first off, let's talk about what is CWAP. CWAP is an anchored VWAP. Okay. It's an anchored VWAP. Well, what does that mean? An anchored VWAP is one that you can decide where the starting point of the algo is in terms of the bar. Okay, so if your normal VWAP is going to start at 6 o'clock p.m. because that's when the new session starts for the new day, is when it opens up in the evening, right? So that's when your normal VWAP on the daily will start. The anchored VWAP is going to be, you can decide whatever the starting point is. So you can say, okay, this bar at roughly 8:35 is where I want to start my VWAP, and that's where it's going to anchor. Okay, so that's what it's doing is it's calculating the volume weighted average price across that and then plotting it. Okay. Another clarification we can make is that VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. Okay, it's based on the full volume of the entire bar. Okay, so that's our happy bar. And our volume is calculated across the entire bar, open, high, low, close, so on, and to determine what the VWAP is. The CWAP is based on the cluster. So what a cluster is it is the largest concentration of volume on that bar. It's usually 3 levels. Okay, you can change that if you really want to, but it's usually 3 levels. And so this is telling us this is the highest concentration of volume on that particular bar. The CWAP is using that to calculate the VWAP. It's just using the cluster instead of the volume across the entire bar. So it's only using the highest volume to determine what the VWAP is. And the lower volume is not playing into it in that case. Okay, so that's what it's doing. So now that we've got that covered, what is the signal and how does that work? What the system is looking for is it's looking for a break of structure. So what is a break of structure? Of course, we've got a wave down, and then we've got our, wave up, and then we've got another wave down, and then we break through the pivot. Any break of a pivot is a break of structure for this particular system. Okay, so any break of any pivot, we're not going to go into SMC concepts here and all that stuff, but just know that if we have an upward trend, okay, and we're moving up and we break, there's the break. Okay, this is a break because we broke a pivot. That's a break because we broke a pivot. Okay, so we're just looking for any structure break. And that system then will determine, okay, here's our structure break. So it plots this nice little line for us, red and blue and all sorts of colors, and it's just magical. Okay, so we break the structure. It's looking now for a bar to be completely outside of that level. And once it is, and you could set it to not do that, but the short version is break of structure, come back to the CWAP, trade the bounce off the CWAP. Okay. So that's what it's looking to do. And of course, there are different filters and parameters on what you can look to filter out, how many bars need to go past, how many bars are too much, all of it. We're going to go through it all together here. So this is our break of structure here. Okay, we can see the CWAP plots for us. There's no trade in this case going long, but we had the break of structure here. And then we had enough follow through after the break of structure that the algo was enabled for a short trade here, and then it traded back into the lows before it came into CWAP. Okay, so that's what it's doing to take the trade. So there's a nice trade there. There's another nice trade here for quick. You're not looking to scale. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but this particular setting is looking to just get in, trade back into the highs a little bit and get out. Okay. This one, short, get in. This one took a stop out on the other side of that CWAP range, the CWAP channel. Let's keep going. And that would have been the end of the day. So this red line indicates the end of a session. That would be the end of a session. It can also be a time blocker. So if you say, NQ, I don't want you to trade from 9:30 to 10, those are off limits, then you'll see a 9:30 bar in red. And then at 10 o'clock, you'll see a green saying we can trade again. Okay, so that's what those are doing.
Hey, Jim, can I say something
Yeah,
about the time
of course.
windows? So
Uh-huh.
one thing you have to understand is that let's say you want it to stop at 7:30. The way the software works is that the signals are based on, since the signals are occurring mid-bar, they're inter-bar entries. It's all the signal logic is based on the prior bar, the last bar that actually closed. So if you want your trades to end at 7:30, then what you'll find is occasionally you might get a trade that actually gets filled at 7:30 and 30 seconds. So if you don't want any trades after 7:30, then change it to 7:29. And that actually, the reason I'm bringing that up is it actually happened this morning with one of the templates where it had two winners, and then the third trade was a loser, and it actually happened 40 seconds after the end time that's specified. And that's just simply, it's just a little nuance. You have to understand how the software works. So if you wanted to stop at at the half hour mark, just subtract 1 minute from that number when you enter it as a parameter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that'll work on minute bars and volume bars. You may still even have that because, you might have a bar that closes, if your time is like 10 o'clock, your last bar might have been 9:57 and the next bar is still going and it's, 10:02, it still may enter the trade. So volume bars are going to be different than minute bars as well. So important to,
Right.
to know
Exactly.
that. Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good deal. Repeat entries, exits, entries, break. Yeah, so the entry is not the break of structure. The break of structure is what is telling the CWAP to plot. So as soon as this break of structure happens, the CWAP plots off of the anchor, in that rotation. So it's going to be off of the pivot before the break of structure. Okay, so here we have a break of structure here. As soon as that takes place, it plots the CWAP here. Okay, so that's what the CWAP's doing. And then we're trading off of CWAP. We're trading the pullback off of CWAP. Okay. Clearly pretty bullish to wrap up the afternoon here on NQ. We did have a decent pullback off of the highs from yesterday, which was all-time highs. So interesting. Anyway, yeah. So no, Eduardo, stop asking the question. See, I think we've answered it a few times. No, it's not based on Fibonacci. This is based on CWAP. Do you have the answer at this point? I just want to make sure that you're getting the answer that you're looking for. Does that answer your question? All right, so let's and please let me know if you've got the answer, because if not, then okay, it's not Fibonacci. Yes, it is not Fibonacci. Okay, cool. Bear with me 1 second here, guys. There we go. All right, so that's what the system is doing. Let's go into the settings and let's go over what these settings mean. Let's pick out a trade that actually worked out too. We'll kind of review that one together. Obviously, not every trade is going to be profitable. We all know that. Welcome to trading. If you're not familiar with that, then welcome to trading. All right, so let's go into the settings. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add the algo here again so we can see all the settings. And I'll pull up these exact settings as well, just so we're using the similar stuff. There we go. So now we can see everything. So swing strength. Let's talk about what this is first. Swing strength means the best way to look at it is how many bars is it going to take the high of to plot the pullback. So if you've got it, and this is not an exact science, but this is kind of a good way to look at it. If you've got, this is our pivot down here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, that's way up here. So obviously that's not exactly what it's doing. But the pullback is a strength based on that number. So the best way to look at it is how many bars of a pullback or how many bars in a new direction do you need before you can get the wave to plot? Okay, so in this case, this didn't plot this little thing and this little thing and that little thing, right? It just went straight up. And so if we had our signals, if we had our strength maybe at say a 5 instead of a 12, which we see here, then we would probably see these zigzags. We'd probably see all of these, zigs and zags. Now, for the sake of trading the trends, you may not necessarily want that. You may not necessarily want every zig and zag. You'll have to kind of determine, that's a major factor in this system is what your swing strength is, because that is what's telling you where the break of structure is. If we have this plotting, this plotting, this plotting, then the break of structure didn't happen here, it happened here. And the CWAP trade is going to happen sooner, like over here. So that's just something to be mindful of, is that, and this will affect everything that you're doing as well. That swing strength will, because it's a determining factor in the signal itself. Okay, so this is
It's like the
extremely,
backbone of the logic. It's
yes.
just it starts with the zigzag. If you have a little tiny number, it's gonna be lots of little tiny zigzags and lots of little tiny trades. And if you have a really big number, it's gonna skip over all the little zigzags and just do really big moves. It's a very central setting for this logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another way to Eduardo actually has a really great question here, asking how many bars do you recommend to avoid the sweep of liquidity by smart money concepts? So this would be a prime example of a liquidity sweep, right? They came down, they tagged low, and they brought it right back inside. So how do you avoid trades like that? It's a very, very valid question. And here's what there's a setting in here that can help you with that specific thing in mind, which is minimum bars outside the boss. So what this means is that you would need one full bar, open, high, low, close, below this level before you're able to trade it on a pullback for that specific reason. Because what you don't want to happen is they barely sweep the level, come back inside, and you're trying to get short trading into nothing. You're trading back into the lows of a liquidity sweep, and you're going to get nicked on that trade most likely. So that's a great question. Thanks for asking, and that's a very good point. So that's exactly what that setting does. Is it'll tell the system how many bars of follow through do you need before you could take a trade on a pullback, and it's follow through is what is telling us the trend is still valid, right? Trend is still valid. Yeah. So, and if it's doing this kind of thing and then pulling back and then this kind of thing, and yeah, no, you're not going to get those. And
And if you
so,
put
and the
if
swing
you put
strength
that
plays into that too. So,
if you put that setting to a 0, it will take that trade.
mm-hmm,
That's just what that does.
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything can be changed. So think of this like, what's the best way to kind of put it? So you buy some canvas, okay? You're a painter and you buy a canvas. And in that canvas, there's this image of an example of what you could do with that canvas. But the canvas is still blank. The canvas is still whatever you want it to be, whatever you want to paint. That's just an example of here's what you could do with it. Think of these settings as exactly that. It's like when you buy a picture frame and there's some like happy couple and oh my gosh, they're so in love and oh look at that, isn't that cute? Okay, so that's it's kind of the same thing,
Good
It's like
analogy.
we're telling you this is what you could do with it. Do whatever you want. It's your trading, it's not ours. Our job is to deliver really great tools that have an edge when used properly. Trading is trading. Trading is hard. I get it. Algos will make your life easier because they will enter the trades for you. They'll manage your risk for you. They'll do everything you tell them to do to get you out of the equation, which is why people trade with algos. I want less of me and I want more of algo to trade for me. Okay. That's what we want. That's why we trade algos. So the thing of it is you're still in charge of this. Is your money. Don't let the algo tell you to do what you're with, tell you what to do with your money. You tell the algo what to do with your money. Okay, that makes sense. So that's a good way to look at it. Include wicks in the pivot. I would say yes to that. We have it there in case you want to change that, but that just means, are you going to only look at the bar close versus the pivot or the wick for the pivot? Use the wicks. Minimum boss line length. What this is doing is it's telling us how many bars here do we need before we're willing to trade this boss break. Okay, so if this, what we don't want to happen is we go up bar, up bar, up bar, up bar like this, and we get, 2-bar pullback and then a break. That would not hit the minimum boss length of 6 bars because this would be the first bar, second bar, third bar, 4. Okay, so that would break. Okay, so yeah, and I don't know, does this bar count as 1, Jeff, or does this count as bar 0 on that? Do you know?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So the boss line length, if it's the pivot, does that count as bar 1 or does that count as bar 0?
It's so that's 0. It should be 0. So
Okay, so this would be
if it's 1,
1,
yeah,
2,
yeah.
3.
It's just
Okay.
counting how many bars forward
Yeah,
should be.
perfect.
And generally that's generally something you want to be a small number. We
Yes.
put it in there, we just thinking about all the things that we could put in there to help you refine the signal logic we included. And sometimes what happens when we do that is we discover that some of these, typically you don't really want to filter out trades but based on that too much. Although you'll notice that it's set to a 6 in this template. We originally had it as a 3 and then found that, think about it. If there's a really fast, um, swing, like a rotation that takes two or three really big bars. Do you really want to take a trade on something like that? Or do you want it to be a little bit more established?
Mhm.
But generally that setting, you would do well with a fairly small number, like 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. The bigger that is, then the more likely it is that it's not a pullback in a trend, right? It would be a deeper pullback and a deeper break, which and odds are you'll get deeper pullbacks on the subsequent pullbacks, just as a trading, concept. And that's not what you're looking for with this algo. So generally keep this, pretty small as a minimum. Standard deviations. So what is that? So it's that's going to be the difference between the channel and the CWAP itself. So this is the CWAP itself. This deviation is set to 1, and with that, and these are actually 0.5 on either end, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Jeff? It's
Yeah,
actually
that's
point
right.
5 on
Yeah.
either end. Yeah.
It just affects the thickness or the thickness, the height of the band at each bar. So the larger the number, the wider that band becomes. You can make it
Yes.
so wide that it would actually encompass all of the bars and you wouldn't get any signals. So that's one of the most important parameters to optimize because it
Yep.
determines the entry point, and it also, since the stop is keyed off of that, it also determines the stop location.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So this number is one of those. This one and this one are like major, major, major to how the algo trades. Very critical in what you want it to do. So the bigger it is, the sooner the entry. The smaller it is, the later the entry. Also affects your stop placement because stop placement is based on the other side of the channel. So very important. We've got it set to 1. I think we've found, as far as settings, 0.9 to like, in that range, 0.8 to 1.2, kind of somewhere, looking at guardrails with algos, right? You don't want to end up way over here where it's like, well, I found that point one was way better. Well, that's a totally different way of trading it, which could be great. I don't know, but
Well, and
just bear in mind.
with really small numbers, with meaning a very narrow band, you're going to get a lot fewer trades because
Hmm.
sometimes you don't get the pullback that far.
Yeah, the pullback won't go deep enough.
And so if you try a really small number, you'll get like very, very few trades.
Yeah. But as far as from a deviation standpoint, if it matters to you, it's you're really looking at diameter, not radius in this case. So standard deviation is not per side, it's total. Um, ticks per cluster price level. This is an important one. This is an important one. With MNQ, you may opt to have a larger ticks per cluster. Because if we think about MES for a second, where in 1 minute we might see an 8 range, but an MNQ on a 1 minute we might see 30 to 40 range. So that's a huge difference. And so think about it this way. If every bar is 8 ticks on MES, then that same bar on MNQ is 40 ticks. So if we're only using 3 ticks for our cluster, then what this is saying is that out of all those 40 ticks, we're only considering 3 ticks worth of volume for the CWAP. Versus if you had it set to 4x, then this means you're going to have 4 ticks per price level, and you're actually going to have 12 ticks of concentration to calculate it out. So this really comes into play with something like an MNQ or NQ versus, ES is you're really probably just going to stick with it at 1. But that's what that does. So if you have, let's say, larger time bars that you're using, larger fractals, that sort of thing, then that could come into play. Okay. So important to know what that does. Let me erase this. Cool. So we've got that covered. Ticks per level is not something that you will probably optimize very often. So this is not something you're going to optimize regularly. Okay, so don't worry about that. Not a big deal. This one, maybe, right? And then standard deviation, maybe, but you might find a number that you're really happy with and stick with it. So CWAP length after boss. So this is telling us how many bars after this break is this CWAP still valid to trade? Um, and I'm actually going to go back here if it'll let me. Probably won't, actually, because I've got this window pulled up. Yeah, it won't let me. What this is doing is it's saying, let's say we got a reversal here. We'll just kind of draw this out. We got, or here, we'll just use this. This is fine. So we've got, a break here, and this thing just keeps going and keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, right? Then you finally get a pullback. And so the CWAP is actually doing way up here. Okay. So what this is saying is that after a certain point, we're not going to consider that to be a CWAP we still want to trade, coming from way down here and then going way up here. Sorry, I'm running out of space in my draw pad. Yeah, so at some point you don't want to continue to trade this CWAP, because what'll happen too is sometimes you'll have other zigzags that'll happen inside of that, and you'll get another CWAP that you're trading here, but then you got another CWAP you're trading here, but then you got another CWAP you're trading here. And all the while, I mean, which is the best one to trade? I don't know. So this is saying how many bars after the break is it like, okay, the ship has sailed. I don't want to trade this pullback anymore because it's going to be too deep of a pullback. Does that make sense? And it's kind of a hard one to describe.
Well, and there's another reason too, and that is that the band keeps widening as it gets more as it ages. If you let it go, if you put instead of
Yeah.
15, you have 15 there. What if you put 100? Well, at 100 bars after the break, that CWAP band is going to be pretty wide. And if you're using algo-based stops, then your stop's going to be huge. Okay. So it just becomes like it's a different type of trade altogether. You should be probably trading a higher time frame or something.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's typically we find that that number should be fairly short, although I've seen it at 30 or more for some instruments. So
Yeah.
it all comes down to optimization.
Cool. Good deal. So I'm going to answer some of the questions because some of these are good that are coming in. So let's go through some of these together here. So Mike says, but at the outset are the basic initial settings a good place to start? And yes, they are a great place to start. And we'll look at exactly on NQ why those are really great settings to run with. We're going to go into that later when we look at settings some more and optimization. So yeah, they are a great place to start for sure. How to avoid entries in consolidated markets. Also a very good question. If you've got your markets kind of doing this, and you're getting stuck trying to trade all of these things, well, you would have traded a CWAP here, right? But it's hitting major resistance, let's say. And then you're coming down here and hitting support and it's trying to trade, all these things in here and doing that kind of thing. And how do you avoid trading in those situations? One is you can finagle your swing strength to be a different number to where you're not trading into that. Another thing you can do is the bars, like we talked about the bars after to get that follow through so that you're not trading short into the lows or trading long into the highs. That can be a good way to avoid trading into, let's say, a double top, which can be obviously not a great thing to do. So those are a couple of things that you can do. The other is you can just look at the market and say, huh, I really don't want to run the algo today because this market condition is not ideal for this algo, which leads us to a very important topic is this tool was designed to do what? This tool is designed to trade trending markets on pullbacks. It's not designed to trade reversals. So don't trade reversals. It's not designed to trade in oscillating markets. So don't trade it in oscillating markets. This is where you as a trader can step in and get the best of both worlds to where you've got the algo and you've got the trader working together in harmony and not against each other. Um, so yeah, so look at the market ahead of time and make sure that you are on the same page that it's a good market to run the algo on that day. Okay. So very good deal. Can you get a return of 680? How to optimize time. So we'll take a look at that in the optimizations, but it has to do with sessions is the way that I like to look at it. 8:30 to 9:30 is going to be one type of market on the equities. 9:30 to 10, different market. 10 to noon, different market. Noon to 2, 2:30, call it, different market. 2:30 to 5. If you're trading 2:30 to 5, why? There's no edge to trading 2:30 to 5. Unless you're a scalper, maybe, unless you're a market maker, I wouldn't mess with it. So you have to look at those sessions potentially as being different types of markets. Now, as an algo, and this is a little bit of a deeper conversation, but that's why we do these AMAs, is to have these conversations. From a deeper standpoint, how do you get the algo to be able to trade across all of those time frames? There's a couple things that you can do. One is swing strength. Set the swing strength higher. By doing that, you're telling it, I only want to trade active markets that are moving, because if it's doing chop, 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 I don't want to trade it because those are not going to plot as zigzags. Okay, so those will be kind of more sideways markets. So this is a good way to stay out of those choppy markets and make sure that you have the follow through. Okay.
Can I add one other thing?
Yeah, of course.
Um, uh, another thing you can do is, don't swing for the fences. If you
Mhm.
just want to get paid, go for small targets and get a really high win rate. And even because I've seen it where even on a reversal that would normally kick you out, I still get a winner because I'm not trying to get a really big target. So,
Mhm.
that's another thing you can do. And that just goes, optimization will tell you what kind of targets to set. But it's just another thing you can do.
Yeah. A great way to look at this is this algo. Again, what is it designed to do? It's designed to trade back into the lows. It's not designed to trade unless you set it that way. It can. If you find that to be a better edge, then knock yourself out. But the way that we've got these settings set up is to trade back into the lows. Quick get out of the market, because what's happening from a liquidity standpoint in the markets? Let's identify that for a second. So we have a clean break of structure. We have clean follow through. We have a decently clean pullback. So what happened at this low to cause that pullback? Well, you have buyers entering the market. The question is, do the buyers at that level have enough momentum and enough power behind that buy to move the market and continue to move the market? That's the question. So bearing in mind, there's liquidity here. The market has identified that this is sort of cheaper territory. Yes, it's a weak level because it didn't break structure, but it's still a level that we need to pay attention to. And if you're trying to trade into that, you have to keep that in mind, that's what you're trading into. So in this case, without zooming in and all that, but we've got a level right here, and you can see the hesitation before it eventually goes on to hit target. And then we see the hesitation here, which is liquidity sweep. And I get, this is not the purpose of this discussion, but it's important to mention that what is the algo designed to do? It's not, these settings in particular are not designed to go, keep on running to the moon. It's designed to just take profit and move on to the next trade. Okay. So good questions. Standard deviation, yes, that's correct, Daniel. Yep. So it's for 0.5s, you really program it as 1. Yeah. I'm just counting full bars outside of break. Yes. Full bars outside, so that would be open, high, low, close. Exactly. MA filters, yes, we will look at that. And which setting and template for win rate? It's not advertised. I don't want to get into the sake of advertising. It's not what it's advertised as. What we are advertising, what we are promoting is the system. The results are just an idea of what you can do with it. Okay. There's no guarantees on, this setting, that setting, this tool, that tool. It's going to be what it's going to be based on what the market presents the next time you trade it. And as for what that's going to be, none of us know. None of us. So, yeah, James, both of those are great. Absolutely. Because you think of it as, so James is asking the question, the tool for the job, right? If CWAP is a trending system, what could you use for reversals? What could you use for breakouts? What could you use for oscillating markets? That kind of thing. CWAP is great for trends. Reversals, you could use a springboard. Something like that would be a great tool. Breakouts, the thrust breakout is a great tool. Okay, so there's different tools for different jobs, and you as a trader being able to identify which tool to use for the right job will serve you well. Which templates run the most trades? Had it run it for a few days, no trades. Shorter time frames, Jay. Yeah, so if you're not getting enough trades, or based on your preferences, you have two options. Add instruments, of course. And you can look at it that way. You can add algos, of course, which in turn makes us more money. So we're good with that. I'm just teasing. Now you do what you need to do. You could add algos, or you can lower the time frame. Okay, so if you're trading on, let's say you're trading on a 3-minute MNQ and it's not giving you enough trades, then you'd go down to a 1,000 volume, which is actually going to be less than 1 minute worth of time. Okay. Yeah, good deal. Good questions. As for when and how often to optimize, it comes down to performance. If your performance is doing good, don't change it. If your performance is kind of starting to fizzle and go sideways a little bit, optimize it. Personally, I like to look at optimizing every week. Even if you don't make any changes, it's important to know, is there anything that you're seeing that could change your performance in the week ahead? Yeah, you can use any time frame, not just volume charts. You can use this on range bars, Renko bars. You can use it on anything. We've just tested it on minute bars, volume bars, but you can use it on whatever. Yeah. Cool, because it's not price action based. Sweet. So we've covered those. Minimum bars, max CWAP length. I think we've covered everything as far as from an algo standpoint. Some of the things in here are important for us to cover regarding stops and targets. I'm not really going to get into all the details of what this does, but Jeff, if you could post the link for the training that we did, where we did the brains of the,
Yeah, I got that.
you
I'll
could
put it, I'll
post
put it
that
in
for
yep.
everybody. So if you need to know how to use the algos from a general standpoint, we did a training where we went through exactly how to use all of the algos, what every setting does in terms of, setting filters and all of that stuff. We'll go through some of it today, obviously, but for a more exhaustive look at what all of these things do from a non-strategy parameter setting, that would be the best one to watch. Okay. This is based on MNQ micros. Yeah. Algo is best for each market. We don't have anything describing which is best for each market, but I can tell you MNQ is going to be your front runner for this particular algo. It doesn't work as well on crude. And how do I know these things? I'm going to show you how I know these things. I'm going to bring it up right now. Let's go into this. And you guys got a lot of questions. It's great. I don't normally see this many questions, so good stuff. So this is my trade log. Okay, this is my trade log. This right here is CWAP trades. This right here is CWAP trades. Now you can tell I made an adjustment and changed it up, and clearly that is working to my advantage. But with over 100 trades, and I'll give you another hint, I've been trading with CWAPs and anchored VWAPs for probably 3 years now. And so knowing from hundreds of trades, I can tell you it's going to work best on NQ. Okay, so that's going to be your moneymaker on this one. MES, you can, but I think if it were me, I'm going to focus mostly on MNQ. So good deal. So we've got it set to a risk of $500 per trade. And this is something that's important for us to talk about, is that the algo will automatically identify how many contracts to trade for you. You don't have to do it. So you might have on MNQ, one entry might be a 40 tick stop. The next one might be an 80 tick stop. And so obviously, if you're trading static contracts, then this is going to be double the risk. Well, you might not be okay with that. I wouldn't be. Most of us are trading prop firms. So why would you want to do that, right? So you want to be able to lock in your risk. So what the system is going to do is say, okay, based on 40 ticks, you can trade, 10 micros. And based on 80 ticks, you can trade 5 micros. And so it will automatically identify how many contracts to trade, which is great, especially for prop trading, which is why we built it into these systems. Okay, so that's what that does. We're good there. Stop loss based on the algo. So what this is saying is, do you want to use, static ticks is one option. Then you have a basis of ATR, where you could say, 1 times ATR, 2 times ATR, whatever you want it to be. And then we have algo stop. So algo stop, when this is engaged, it's going to do the stop based on the width of the band. So this width of the band would equal, it's a 1. It's just the bandwidth multiplier. There's no multiplier. It's just the other side of the band, and you can see these red dots. Right at the edge of the band is where that stop went. If you want to leave a buffer beyond that, you can. My suggestion would be to leave it at 1 or less, actually. Be to leave it at 1 or less. Again, how do I know this? I've traded hundreds of these trades manually. So that's my suggestion. Take it or leave it. Minimum allowable stop, max allowable stop. This is going to play into your risk per trade as well. Some of you that are, trading evals as well, or trading prop firm accounts, you have a max contracts you can trade, right? Some are more aggressive than others. Some will tell you can only trade, 3 to 6 full size or 30 to 60, micros. And so you can set your minimum allowable stop so that you're not trading too many contracts, because the smaller the number of ticks, the more contracts it's going to trade. So make sure you've got this set so that you're not going to breach the max number of contracts. Okay, so that's where that would come into play. Max allowable stop, it's usually going to be kind of based on what you think is reasonable for your trade, based on your time frame. So like 200, it's not that much for NQ. It's big, but it's not huge. 200 on EES would be like, how long you hanging on to that trade? Like 3 days. So just bear that in mind. That's what that does. Stop loss width, again, it's just the other side of the band. Targets, you can use ticks for target, you can use risk reward, or you can use ATR. This is set to ticks. Is it set to ticks?
So that is only if you have multiple targets. That only applies to multiple targets. If
Oh,
with a
interesting.
caveat that it's only if under the case that you're using the algo targets. Like you have enable algo profit target checked on. So that means that target one is determined by the pattern, by the max excursion after the boss. And you can kind of show them what that means. But
Yeah, I will.
um, but if you only have the one target specified in the entry section, then that choice of target type is irrelevant because you only have one target, and if you're using algo profit target, then that target is only determined by the pattern, is not determined by ticks or risk reward or anything. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yep. So this is the target type. Risk reward, you could do that. And that would be, for the other contracts then is what you're saying, right?
Right. I mean, if
Yeah.
you go up to your entries and enter
Oh,
a
it's
second or
bad.
third target, then you'll see those appear, like put in $100, yeah. And then you should
Yeah.
see that target two. That one is going to be our risk reward. But the first
Mhm.
target is based on the excursion, the furthest prices traveled before the pullback.
Yep. So so the excursion, by the way, let me kind of break this down. So if this is our entry, this is our pivot. What this is doing is it's saying what percentage of this distance do you want to trade? This is set to 0.6, so it's going 60% to the low. Okay, so if your low was 20 ticks away, then it's going to go 12 ticks. Okay. Personally, I really, really like this as a target. 0.6, fantastic target on these trades. Again, how do I know? Traded a lot of these, and that's been where I've found the sweet spot to be. Risk reward, this would be great if you're using multiple targets and you want to say, okay, you could set a trailing stop, break evens. You can move your manually to break even, whatever you want to do there, and say, well, if this thing's going to take off and run, let's do it. I want to make that money. So you can set that for additional entries. You can do up to 3 different entries on the same trade. So cool. So I think we've covered that. Obviously, start and stop times. We talked about that. Yeah, this is good. And then you can skip days, again, this is all in the brain training that we went through. So
And
let's
I did post that link earlier.
yes, perfect. Thank you. That link that he posted is for the training, for the brain training. Yeah. Can you adjust it to 78.6, 86 trades like a Fibonacci? No. No, it's not based on Fibonacci. That would be a totally different algo. Yeah. Didn't get the link. He sent it to everyone. Scroll up a little bit. You'll see it in the message. Yeah, we got that one covered. I'm just looking back through some of the questions because we're at a good stopping point. Run back test step by step. Yep, we're going to go through that. No worries. 50K. I'd like to say one trade per day. The webinar advertised system is capable of doing so. Yes. Should I use first half and 125 fixed? Yeah, you could, yeah. So if your risk per trade, let's say you want to trade 125 as your risk per trade, we'll go through this together. So if your risk is 125 bucks per trade and you only want to take one trade per day, for better, for worse, right? What this will do then is you'll want to set your money management to stop trading once you breach 120, something like that. Okay. So your max, your stopping point for wins would be once you get to 120. Your stopping point for stops would be once you get below 120. Okay. So that would then cover you. In other words, it's going to stop trading after you get to one trade, win or lose. So and that can all be set in the money management filters, which is right here. So you would say, 120 here and 120 here. Enable backtest and exits on money management, yes. And reset P&L on time slot, yes. Okay, that's how you would set it. It's a good question. Why is profit target so low? It's based on, again, the distance from here, from the entry back to the low. And that's a great target on these. Very, very high probability on those. Cool. I think we're caught up on all the questions. Let's see if there's anything else. A few more questions, limited English. Yeah, email it to support. Yeah, absolutely. We got you covered. Email support. Cool. All right, so we're good on that. So let's go ahead and get out of this. And we'll just cancel out. So we got it. Let's go take a look at a few more trades. We'll just kind of run through a few of them so we can see it. That way we've got kind of the explanation of settings and we know what's going on and we can see it as well. Okay. So let's talk about something else here. I want to talk about this right here. You guys see how it came into the CWAP right here. But notice how it didn't close above that boss line. So because of that, there was no trade there. Okay. Then we got the boss break. We've got one bar, open, high, low, close, completely above the level, which would be this bar right here, that little down bar there. As soon as that happens, we are now engaged for trading. Now the CWAP will plot as soon as that bar closes. It's going to plot the CWAP for us. And then as soon as we get this bar, one bar beyond that, we are enabled for trading. Now this, remember our setting was 15 bars max. So that means if this thing continued to go by 15 bars, it would disable this CWAP for trading. Okay, so that's what's going on in the settings. And in this case, we got the entry right here. Target was, again, 60% from the entry to the high, and it took target. Stop went right at the edge of the CWAP, which is a great stop. As another thought, you could set it to on the stop. If you set it to 0, the stop would be here. Is that right, Jeff? I just want to make sure. If you set the stop to 0 as the band
I'm
edge.
sorry, I was answering your question. Can you
That's okay.
repeat?
Yep. So if this is a 1 on the stop, right? It's based on the this level here. How would you get it? So if you wanted to set your stop inside the channel, would you then set it to like a 0.5 or a 0 if you wanted it right at the CWAP?
Yeah,
How would
so
that work?
it's very simple. So at that bar, at the signal bar, measure the vertical height of the band.
Mm-hmm.
That's a number, like it's a number of ticks or whatever. And then whatever you put in for the stop multiple is a multiple of that number.
Okay, so the CWAP would be 0.5, obviously, because it's halfway. And then, 0.75 would be like halfway between on this.
Yeah, 7.5 would be, yeah, like where you drew that there.
Yeah, it'd be like right in the middle
It's a
there.
multiple of that distance. It's the
Perfect. That's
easiest way
great.
to think of it.
Yep. So it's the distance from here to here, guys. So just wanted to clarify that because a lot of times the way that I'm trading this is the stop is going somewhere in here. Just a little tighter stop gives you less heat on your stop outs. It gives you a different risk reward number in the long run. Cool. And it also will change your profit factor. Um, cool. So lots of questions coming in. Let's see. Was there time to take one trade per day? If it were me, now you'll have to back test it and see. But if it were me, I would say 10 to 11 is a great time to trade one trade per day on an MNQ. But see what it's like. 9:30 to 10 might be fantastic. You might find it to be really great for you. You might find that 8:30 to 9:30 is the best time. So just see what works. Under targets, do you have max take profit? I can't remember. I'd have to go in and look at it. I don't see a link. Oh, okay. Jeff, can you post that link one more time? Some of the folks are just getting in.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And VM lean is explained in that session as well, Eduardo. Yeah. So check that one out. That'll give you everything you need to know. Yeah. Cool. All right. So that was that trade. Then we broke structure here. We had, remember our pivots. So we're watching our zigzags, pivot, pivot, break. One full bar, open, high, low, close outside. This would be bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the 9th, 10th bar, we got the entry. If it had gone 5 more bars, 15, we would have not gotten that trade. And I'll show you an example where the CWAP actually stops because of that. So this was our entry. Great target. Really, really great target. Good location on the stop. Just a great trade. Let's take a look at this one down here. Okay, again, pivot, pivot, break, one full bar outside. There's the entry, target, stop goes at the edge. We're trading 60% back to the lows. Again, really great trading. You know, again, I've been trading this for a long time, and this is really well set up. Really, really well set up. So nicely done to Jeff and the team for getting these settings put together like this. This is great. Can the NinjaTrader backtest mode? Yes. We have it set to backtest in the settings just for the sake of the demonstration. You have multiple modes here as far as run type. You can set it to backtest, which will only show historical entries on the chart. Then you have real time, which will only trade live trades. It won't show you the history. Combined, we'll do both. It'll show you the history and it'll trade live. Okay, so 3 different run settings. So if you're running it and you're like, why am I not getting any trades? The first thing you need to know is, are you enabled? If this box is not enabled, you're not running the algo. You won't see anything on the chart. It'll just say CWAP algo, but you won't see any CWAPs. And then, so that's critical number 1. And then number 2 is, if it's not taking any trades, check your mode, make sure you're set to real time or combined. If it's still not taking trades, then it's filtering trades out for some reason. Okay. Yes, you can do that, Jason. Absolutely. You can do it manually, or you can set it up to do trailing stops, but it's unfortunately you lose out on the risk per trade if you do it that way. So the best way to do it is to just manually trail it. Yeah. High frequency, there's no issues. Nope. You can do high frequency stuff. Absolutely. You can probably do like either a tick chart or a small volume chart or something like that. Absolutely. Continuation, not reversals. You got it. Yes. Good stuff. Okay. Moving on. Nice trade there. Really this is, how many days was this? I just want to see what the performance is here recently on this one, because it's really good. It's really solid, guys. 25 trades, 20 of them wins. It's hitting about an average win-loss of 0.63. I would say there's probably a chance to look at even dropping the stop in a little tighter. Let's go in and look at the trades. Now we can look at a max adverse, max favorable. On these stop outs, you had a max favorable 368. Let's do this by ticks. Max favorable 700. Oh, it's
The
based on
problem with that
contracts.
is
That's
based on
not
your
going to work.
quantity. Yeah, your
That's
your
not going
lots
to
of
work.
You got to just set your static
Yeah.
size to 1, and then you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's not going to work. So here we go. So this would be 368 versus 480. So, some of these, these are not really the only one that went in your favor, really, out of these stops was this one. And then you look at your winners and look at what your max adverse is on your winners. And we can see, a couple of these would have, if we tighten the stop, a couple of these are going to become stop outs versus wins. But you're also going to lose less on all your stops. So that would be the net effect of tightening up your stop is you'll have more losers, but your losers will be smaller. So you'll have to look and see, from a drawdown standpoint, from a risk reward and profit factors, does it make sense to do that? But I think there's reason to believe that you might want to even tighten that up a little bit. So see how it goes. It's a trade-off. Everything is a win-lose. It's net trade-off. There's a benefit, there's a downside to every change we make. Which template and settings were used? This is for the MNQ settings on the 1000 volume. Yeah. HFT did not have that feature. It wasn't, that came in later after that algo was already released. Did mine take a trade at 308? Probably not. This is recorded. We'll get it to you. 308. Nope. It's set to cut off at what time is it set to cut? I think it's like, yeah, right here. 10:15. Yeah. 10:15. March 21. It wouldn't have traded at that time. It's too late in the day. But let's look at some of these. We can go in and check these and even see, would they have been trades? This one would have been a trade, 1247. Did it work? No. This one would have been a trade, 1303. Did it work? Yeah, it did. This one would have been a trade, would have worked. This one would have been a trade right here. That one would have worked. This one, yeah, I think this one would have been a trade right here, and that one would have been a winner. This one would have been a trade. That one would have been a winner. Maybe. This one might not have actually. Depends on what happened. If this wick was enough to breach target, then yes. And it depends on how this played out. Did it come down and not hit target?
You would have had to have gotten filled there. It's really marginal whether it would have gotten filled
Yeah,
there.
you might not have gotten the fill, and then in that case, it would have filled here, and then that would have been a stop out. So it depends. This one would have been a trade here, and that would have been stopped out. So maybe. It depends on, again, with the wick, what happened first. Probably a stop out. So yeah, you can look at it trading later in the day. I would say don't go past 2:30. If you're trading it in the afternoons, try to stick before 2:30. Just words of the wise, I guess. First half higher. I don't know what you mean on that. Sorry. NQ is going to be roughly the same. Roughly. They might be a little bit different, but bear in mind is you'd have to figure out what the volume is to be equivalent to MNQ versus NQ. They're going to be different volume bars. So they're not going to be exactly the same. If you were using time-based charts, then they'd be pretty stinking close because they're trading about the same. So, all right. So we have covered the chart. We've covered the settings. We've looked at what can this thing do. Let's go back to the back tests again. So this is those settings we were just looking at. Okay, so let's break this down. We have 16,000 in profit with 1,000 max drawdown. All of the prop traders in here are freaking salivating right now over those numbers. And rightfully so, because if I can for call it a little over a month and a half, if I can get those kind of numbers, man, sign me up. That is solid. Equity curve, solid, very strong. Sometimes we get back tests that look, and I'm just transparent as it comes, guys. Sometimes we get back tests that look amazing. And we run them the next week and we're like, well, what the hell happened? It happens. I don't, I don't know. I can't say for sure, of course, but I like these settings a lot. I think you can do very well with this. So, for what it's worth. This has a average loss of 487, average win 323. They're basing the risk based on 500 risk. So that is where that's coming in. If you want your wins to be higher, in this case, then you would tighten your stop. It's a little bit backwards. If you want your wins to be larger, tighten your stop. Don't change the target. Don't change the target. The target is good. If you go to 0.7 or 0.8, fine. Don't, it's completely different if you go to a 1 or a 0.9. It's a completely different setting, and you're going to have to re-optimize everything else. Okay, so just hear me out on this. Don't change the target. If you want higher wins, tighten the stop. You will take more losers, though. Just bear in mind. That is going to be the net effect. So 2.37 profit factor, great number of trades with 110. Here's the thing. Smaller time frames, you're going to have more ups and downs in your numbers. Higher time frames, you're probably going to have less of those. Smaller time frames are more volatile. They're more up and down. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, just depends. Longs and shorts both look good, which is great considering the macro assessment of NQ is very bullish. So yeah, so these are really great settings, guys. I like them. No, Apex does not allow algos in a PA eval algo figure. You can use algos in your PAs as long as they are not fully automated. Not fully automated. So this algo is not, it's fully automated from the sense that yes, it will enter the market for you. It's not fully automated in the sense that you cannot change the parameters. You can change everything, literally everything. You could change what markets you run it on. You could change where it gets in, where it gets out, direction, all of it. So because of that, then you should be good on that. So these are back test results, guys. These are not live trades. These are back tests. So what you're showing is out of box settings. This is optimized settings. This is not default settings. This is optimized. So these settings are already optimized. Now, we know with optimizations, is it always going to be amazing after you deploy it? No, it's not. It's not always amazing, but they are optimized. And so if it's not amazing, then what do? You optimize it again. How often should you optimize it? On a 1,000 volume chart, you want to look at it every week. Every week, you're going to want to go in. You may not change anything from week to week, but you still want to look at it and see if there's any major differences in your optimization from week to week. Okay. So, good to go there. So this was the MES settings. Really strong numbers. Let's go in and take a look at what it's doing. Swing strength is very high. Minimum boss is fine. CWAP's good. Minimum max length after 17. It's pretty comparable. The major difference here is the swing strength. Let's go to the chart. And I'm not opposed to that by any means because MES is choppier than MNQ. It just is. That's how it trades. It's choppier. Up, down, up, down, up, down. You see all these zigs and zags? Do you want to trade all that? No, of course not. So I like the higher swing strength on this. You can go to your chart and just visualize it. Just go in and look at the chart. The best way that you can identify how to trade with your algo is not looking at numbers. It's looking at the chart. You are a trader. Look at the chart. What is the chart telling you? Are you getting in too early? Are you getting in too late? Are you not taking high enough profit? Are you setting your stops too tight, too loose, so on, on and on and on. Go look at the chart and identify what the answer to those questions are. That will tell you everything you need to know. Hey Jeff, can you post those templates for ES and NQ in Discord so everybody has them?
Yep, will
That'd
do.
be awesome. Yeah. If you're running CWAP on MNQ, do you like it on MES? I think you could run it on MES. I just think you're going to get the best results on MNQ. Yeah. What is the green stop? So this is the time parameters. This is start and stop time. The red stripes, the red and green stripes are long and short trades. And you could turn those on and off if you like. Let's see. It's already, yeah, I mean, it's already satisfied for the requirements for Apex from what I understand. So as long as it's something that you're deciphering when to run it, how to run it, where to run it, you're the trader. As long as you're still the trader, you're fine. Oh, you're talking about this, the CWAP stops. Okay, let's go look at it. So why did the CWAP stop? It's because of number of bars. So this is your break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Stop. So it's set to 17 bars max. So at that point, it stops the CWAP. Do you need to set tick replay? No, do not set tick replay. Yeah. Don't turn on tick replay. Do you have a trade room where we can follow live trading? We do. We do. You can find us on YouTube if you want to follow along in YouTube, albeit there is a delay. So you probably want to come in and join us live. Send a message to support and we'll get you the link so you can join our trade room. We do not trade the algos in the trade room. We don't. We trade manually. But wouldn't this be great, guys? I'm going to just paint a picture here for you. Apparently, I'm a painter today. What if you ran the algo on one account or one eval on your prop? And then you come into the trade room and you copy the trades because we do trade live. And yes, we're consistently profitable. And you come into the trade room and you trade that on a separate account. What have you just done? You've diversified your trading. You've enhanced your confidence as a trader. You've given yourself more opportunity to make more money. And you're going to have less stress from the standpoint of, well, if the algo has a rough day, maybe the trade room has a great day. So that's my take on it. Take it or leave it. Yes, ES and MNQ are both already optimized and ready, and they're good to go for you. Now, they might need to be optimized again, but yes, those settings are available. How do you get access to the live trade room? Send a message to support. Send a message to support and we'll get you squared away. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so ES, let's go look at a couple trades. Let's just check it out. Again, how do you know if the algo is good for you and its settings are good? Go look at the chart. What does your chart tell you? Here we go. I went too far. Dang. For settings, they're in the downloads for the algo, or you can find them in Discord. Okay. There's the high. We broke here, but never came into CWAP. Then we went higher. So our distance is here. Target on this one is pretty tight. Where's our target? 0.35 target. I personally would take more, but that's my assumption, right? And so for me as a trader, I would look at this and say, I'd really like to get more out of this. I'd like to get more. And that might be a hard and fast rule where I go in and optimize some of the other things in here so that I can do that. Is there anyone here from Europe or Asia or Australia? Give me a yes in the chat box if anybody here is from alternate time frames, Eduardo. Okay. Maybe you're in South America, but further east. Maybe you're in Africa. How many of you are trading in way different time zones? Not too many. A few of you. How many of you would be interested in trading the DAX? Anybody here interested in trading DAX? So we've got a couple of you. Yeah. You. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's go look at DAX. I've never looked at this on DAX, but the assumptions would be DAX is a stock market index, right? NQ, stock market index. ES, stock market index. RTY, stock market index. You want to, although RTY is like the black sheep of the family, it does whatever it wants to do. You like that? It is. It does whatever. It's like it's like the NQ goes off to law school, gets a law degree, starts a practice, and then ES goes and gets a doctorate. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a family practice. And then RTY is like, hey guys, I'm gonna be a rock star. So, follow me because I'm gonna be huge. And anyway, that's how it goes. So DAX is also a stock market index. So it should be something that we can trade as a trending market. Is crude a trending market? Somebody answer me. Is crude a trending market? Yes or no? Eduardo says no. What do you guys think? If the price of crude only ever went up, would that be a good thing or a bad thing? It'd be very, very bad. It is not meant to trend. Can it trend? Yes. Sometimes it'll do this for a while and then it'll stop and it'll do this for a while. So it trends both ways, but it's not designed to be a trending market. So that's why you don't get as great of results with it. So yeah. So let's go to DAX. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with our MNQ settings and I'm going to duplicate this for, well, here, let's just do this. We'll go here. We'll go here. There it goes. Cool. So we're going to load the settings for MNQ right here. Cool. And then we're going to go down, all the way down, and I'm going to select futures. Is it in here? FDAX, FDAX, FDAX. No. No. Great. I don't want to trade the DAX 30. I want to trade the index. That's a micro FDAX. Whatever. We'll just look at micro. That's micro FDAX, isn't it? FDAX, FDXS. Let's double check just because I don't want to run the wrong thing. FDXS.
Are you going to have data for that?
Yeah, I think so. Micro. Yeah, it is micro. FDX should be the full size. Yeah, mini DAX. So I don't have it in my list, so bear with me while I add it to the list. Well, actually here, let's do this. This should work. I am just going to open a blank chart, and then that way it's in my recent things. FDXM. Cool. Got it. I'm going to switch this to a 3-minute bar. And we're going to run this. That's fine. We'll just run it from, well, good enough. And I'm not going to change anything. I just want to run the test and then go look at the chart. Minimum allowable, I'm going to set to like 5 because I don't know what it needs to be yet. Minimum take profit 5 because I don't know what it needs to be yet. Swing strength will leave. Good, 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 good. Time, I'm going to open this way up because I want to see what's the best time to trade it. This is Eastern time, by the way. So we're going to look at the European session all the way through the US session. Okay. I'm going to run that and I'm going to take 2 minutes and I'll be right back. And Jeff, you can entertain them for 2 minutes. I'll be right back while this runs.
Yeah, don't expect too much entertainment. I just answer questions, but just take a quick break. I just want to mention that I did just post the 2 templates that Sean showed yesterday in Discord on the CWAP channel. Yeah, no, Ben, I'm not much of a singer. Sorry. I play guitar for you, but I don't think that's going to work. I'll see if I can find the YouTube link for the trading room. Let me see if I can find that. Otherwise, easy. Just send an email to support@nstradingacademy.com and with your request, and you'll get a response right away. Yeah, so I was actually, somebody asked, what is the volume fractal to use if you're trading FDS XS? And it's probably gonna be different than, I don't know, I don't know that instrument at all. What I would do is I would simply look at a chart up against a NASDAQ chart and then play with the volume until it looks somewhat reasonable. I wouldn't be able to answer that question. I've never really traded that instrument. So
Cool. So what I wanted to look at initially was time. Obviously, we're not going to get a good back test that runs all day and all night. Like it's not going to happen usually. So what time is it valid to trade? Well, the European session needs to be completely different than the US session. So really, this is telling us that from 9:30 on, when it crosses over with the US, is going to be the best. So we're looking at 9:30 to call it 1, right? So let's set it accordingly, and then we'll go in and we'll start to optimize based on that. Okay, so we're going to go 9:30 to noon, and we'll run it again. And then we're going to go through the process on how to look at optimizing. Okay. Now, this is not getting as many trades, we'll notice, right? Not nearly as many trades. We've got 16, but bear in mind, this is a 3-minute chart, not a volume chart. Okay, so already it looks great. Like there's really, technically you could run with this and be good to go. Like I haven't done anything and it looks great. There's a couple drawdowns in here, nothing major. Let's go to a trade to trade basis. Yeah, you know, it's only taken one loser in a row, but there's not a lot of trades to work with. So you'd want to maybe take a look further back. But let's go in and look at the chart and see what it's doing, and we can identify what we might decide to change, if anything, on how to trade with it. Okay, so this one didn't get a trade because it was after the cutoff. This one never came back in. This one, what I'm also looking at in here too is the zigzags. Is the market too choppy, not choppy enough? Go to the next session. Smooth. Yeah, very smooth. Then it got cut off, end of day. Okay, dropped. This one stopped out. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that one. That one's gonna be a stop out. I'm also looking at what about entries and exits? Are we too loose, too tight? And the targets look great. Targets look really good. Stops look good as far as this one. This, so this is where if you're, if you're trading it on your own, you might have taken this trade here and not here because this was a deep follow through. The only reason it didn't take that trade is because this wick is not outside the boss. So that's why I didn't take the trade there. It took it later. Still worked out, but that's something to note, as you're going through looking at the trades, make notes. It did this on this trade. Okay, that's something I might want to change. The stop looks really good, actually. I was thinking, maybe you could tighten the stop, but in this case, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's really in the right spot. This one hit the max number of bars, and then it never hit the CWAP anyway. No trades that day. You're going to get that on a 3-minute bar. You're not going to get trades every day. So you could go in and look at what the volume is and see. Let's see. Cool. So nice clean break, clean wave, broke through, one candle out, came down. Could have had a tighter stop on that one. Nothing. Good target. Stop could have been tighter on that too. The thing is with the risk of the stop is when you get into these situations where like it almost dips in, comes back, dips in the second time, you might get a little overrun because they might be sweeping liquidity here to come down deeper. And if your stop's here, you might get nicked. But in this case, it was a stop out anyway, but I'm just giving an example. This one hit the max number of bars. Would it have been enough to take profit? Let's see. No, it would not have been because this is halfway and it barely hit halfway. So that one wouldn't have been a target anyway. Let's go to the next day. Got pretty noisy in here, didn't get a full bar above. That's when that helped you. Because had you had this set to 0, you would have gotten the trade here. Might have had enough to get target, but it looks like it's about 0.5, not 0.6. This one, yeah, really great. Could have had a tighter stop on this one, right? If you put it in here. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. I am curious about the volume because we're not getting a lot of trades on this. Let's look at volume too, just for fun. I'm going to do something here. You guys good on time? I know we're kind of coming up on 90 minutes, which is about what we usually do on these events. You guys doing okay on time? You want to hang out a little longer and we can take a deeper dive into this one? We can look at it. Yeah, sure. Okay. I just don't want to be sitting here talking to myself if you guys got to run.
You can talk to me. You can
I
talk to
respect your
me.
time. What's that?
You can talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I'd rather be doing this than the other stuff. All right, cool. So let's do this. And we get 500 days and 5 minutes. Point value for DAX. Actually, I'm not sure. Oh no. Look on CME website and see what they say. I don't normally trade FDAX, so
It's a lot lower volume, that's for sure.
oh, I'm sure, yeah. Okay, let's do this. I think I still have this on here. Yeah, there we go. I was having so many issues with Ninja, I just decided to lean out my machine and only keep the stuff that I use regularly. All right, so very low volume, 40 on a 1 minute, 40 volume, so not a lot. Let's go 60 days, 32 volume. Let's go 30 days, 31. 40 volume it is. It's pretty low. Pretty low volume. That might be tough. We'll try it though, just to see. And we can look at it as maybe 100 too, which would be more like 2 to 3 minutes. FTSE, I don't know if we have I don't know if we have data for anything like that. I don't think, I mean, it's not futures if it is. So performance changes. I do want to look at the stops on this now. Let's go to stops. I'm just going to run it as a one-off. I'm not going to go into optimization mode just yet. Let's do that. And 0.7.
Looks like tick value for this is $1, if I'm reading that right,
Tick value. Oh, is it $1? Yeah.
per tick.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about with tightening up the stop, right? So what did I do that changed everything? All I did was change this to a 0.7, and I changed the target to 0.7. And lo and behold, we changed dramatically with what we had on the last test. So we go to look at the log. The last test we did was 1600 in profit versus 5900, game changer. Now this is a little bit more drawdown than I like to see on my templates here. Let's go to analysis. I'm gonna go trade by trade. Yeah, so we had a drawdown here. It came out of it. We had another drawdown here, another drawdown here. 2 trades worth. So those would have been about 1,000 in drawdown. This was 3 trades worth, about 1,500. I'm showing 1980. So in that case, if the drawdown's a little bit much, obviously if you're trading on a 50K, you're probably not risking 500 per trade. At least not on a live account. Maybe you do, I don't know. But with how many trades per day are we getting on this setting? We're getting 1 trade a day. So 1 trade a day, you could actually probably risk that if you wanted to. I can't tell you how much to risk, but yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, some of those other exchanges, I don't know if there's even futures on those. If there is, I've never traded them. I don't know. And I don't know that we would have data. This is Rhythmic. So yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's look at going into optimize it now. So I'm just gonna go to save and let's go to CWAP. Let's go FDXM 40 volume. This will be Eastern time and 3:22. Okay. So now that I've saved it, I'm going to show you how to do an optimization. We're going to go to optimization here. And we're going to look at swing strength. I'm going to probably go 10 to 20. I'm going to go by twos because I don't want 10 million tests. Minimum boss line length, I really don't care. Standard deviation, I'm not changing it. Ticks per cluster, definitely no reason to change it. Max CWAP length, I'm just going to leave it. I don't feel like I really need to optimize that stuff. I mean, we could go 15 to 20 and go by ones, and we'll just see what happens. Minimum allowable, did it not? Hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me load it again just to make sure. I don't think these transferred over because minimum was not 30. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right, so let's look at swing strength. We'll go 10 to 20 by twos. That means it's going to test 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay. That will reduce the number of iterations you have. If you start getting 1,000 iterations, it's going to take forever and you may still end up disappointed and it's a waste of time. So yeah, we'll just go 15 to 20 on this one. Stops and targets, I'm not going to work on yet. We'll come back to those. Stop. Cool. Targets. Got it. And that's it. I'm not worried about filters, any of that kind of stuff yet. And I'm going to change this to net profit. And that's how you run an optimization. The main thing you want to do when you're running optimizations is you want to run them in segments. Now, this is my approach. You don't have to do it this way, but I'm just going to tell you what works for me, and then you can decide. So you have your strategy parameters first. These you would do first. And I do these separate. So just so you know. Secondly, you're going to look at stops and targets. And then, because this is going to be, really, this is your entry. Where are you entering? Second, stops and targets is exit, obviously. Then you look to filter. Filters could be your moving averages, could be your VM lean. You've got options of histogram. You've got BBs. Think of this as this is your fast. This is your slow, like a MACD. But then you also have EMAs on the histogram or on the VM lean itself. So this would be even faster, the EMAs. You could do an EMA cross on the VM lean, which you'll see in the training event that Jeff gave you the links to. You've also got, and so you could do moving averages. You can do single or double. Single, obviously, market has to be above or below to trade long or short. Double means that your fast has to be above your slow, or vice versa. Then you also have structure. Okay, structure is going to be, really, it'd be very rare that you would be trading against structure with this tool anyway, but it's there for you because it's built into the brain. So those are some of the things you can do. So a little bit of better profit on this. The last one we had was 59.05, so we gained one winner. And so this is saying swing strength was 14, swing strength 14, 12, 12. So clearly 12 to 14 is going to be that number. So let's go back here. If you really want to dial it in, you can say 12 to 14 by 1. And it looked like the other thing that we tested for, which was the max length, was kind of all over the board. What was this one? 16, 15, 15, 16, 20. So 20 gives you more trades. You got 2 more trades, but they weren't profitable. So 15 is going to be the number. So we'll do it like that. We'll just run it again with the swing strength and dial that number in. And then we can look at stops and targets next. So yeah, what else can we look to optimize? So same numbers came in. It was the best at 14. So a little bit wider swing strength. So we're good there.
Jim, what about
Yeah.
time windows? What about time windows? When do you pull that in?
Oh yeah, let's add that to our list. So time, I look at it right away. Time is kind of the first thing I look at by running my assumption, my hypothesis. I run that first, then I go back at the end, and I kind of look at it every time I run a test. I look at the time. Then I run a test, and then I look at the time. I like to peek at it throughout because what I don't want to happen is I'm backing myself into trading 10 minutes a day or something, to where I'm filtering everything out. So yeah, but time comes into it right away and then again at the end. It could also be though that time is a non-test for you. It's a non-negotiable. Like if you say I trade MNQ from 10 to 11, then trade MNQ from 10 to 11 and optimize based on that. Okay, so you can make it be whatever you want it to be. So that's the thing about these algos. They're great. You can run them in all sorts of different ways and get what you're looking for. So this still good there. All right. Let's go look at the time. Let's go check time of day just to make sure we're still on the same page. So we really didn't make anything after that, 9:30 to 10:30 to 11. Um, yeah, so you do have quite a bit of profit actually in there from 11:30. So I would just leave it like it is. Yeah, yesterday was recorded. Um, I don't know if they're sending it out to everybody, but I don't know. You could check with support, I guess. I'm sure they probably have it. Let's look at stops and targets. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go stop loss from no less than 0.7 for sure to 1.2. And then we're going to do this by 0.1. Okay. And we're going to go to profit target, no less than 0.5. And I really don't want to go more than 0.8, actually. And let's go 0.1. Okay. So now we've got that, and let's run it, see what we come back at. And this should be about all I need to optimize with this. There's really not much optimization you need to do with this system, which is great. And that's why it does so well. Because our traders don't have to spend a ton of time. And it's easy to get good results. It's really a great way to trade.
Jim, while this
Yeah.
is running, you talked about how you approach the time windows.
Mhm.
I know it's part of the core engine training in the link that we sent, but
Mhm.
if you're running a back test that goes back far enough, you want to make sure that you go to the skip days um, option so that you can filter out any holidays.
Yeah.
It's just simple interface where you just specify specific days where it's just going to skip over that day. You don't
Mhm.
want to trade on a early close day where there's hardly any volume. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing too, let's say we had FOMC this week, right? Um, Wednesday was, is kind of a little bit chaotic. Thursday was slow. So, you can look at that too and factor that into it to say, even days that are, major releases like CPI or FOMC releases, you could even look to, you know, ignore those days because they are the outlier. They're not the standard of what a normal day of trading looks like. And so when you're optimizing, you may not want to optimize based on that, just the same. So cool. So this is we gained looks like a couple more winners on this. So this it turned out to be a good test. And we came back at 0.7 on the stop. So that stayed the same. And then we had 0.8 on the target. So we got a little bit more money on the table by going a little bit deeper into target. So that's great. So that's really it. I don't think you really need to do too much with, you could do moving averages. I'll show it just so you can see. You can do singles or doubles. You can do EMAs or simple moving averages. You can do it based on the existing chart, which is the 40 volume, or you can also change it to, let's say, a 5-minute chart. If you want to trade the EMAs based on a calculation on the 5-minute chart, you can do that. Of course, you can change the periods of what you're looking to trade there. So that's an option. I really don't think it's necessary in this case, though. I don't think you really need to go through all that. VM histo might be a good one to check. We'll just see if it does any good for us. Let's go into it. We'll go true and false. And then let's throw this one into the mix. And let's change these. Let's go, well, we'll just keep it at 6. Yeah, 13. So I'm not optimizing for the periods. I'm just optimizing for whether or not to use that as a filter. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So now it's going to optimize based on momentum as a filter. Well, let's look at that, and I think we'll probably be good after this. This will be done. So here's another thing too. We talk about in the events, we have a user manual. The user manual is very good, and it gives you everything you need to know. Read the user manual. Please read the manual so that you know how to use your tools. If you're going to trade with a tool that you don't know how to use, I hate to tell it, I hate to say it like this, but you might as well just give up your money. Because if you don't know what you're doing, how can you expect to use the tool appropriately? So learn the tool, know how to use it so that you can get the most out of it. Because you saw, I mean, we went through an optimization in 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes because we started right at 2:30 and we're done. Now, they don't always go this fast, but if you know how to use your tool, you know how to get the most out of it. And if you start by looking at the chart, you're not going to end up going down the rabbit hole and end up coming up with something that doesn't work the next week because you've already looked at the chart, determined what you need. So let's look at these results. So we have $90 less profit. We have $90 less profit. So of these settings, I'm going to ask you guys, which setting do you want to use? Which setting do you guys want to use? 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the list? What's your setting? What do you guys think? I'm gonna go into this one. What was it? Larry says 2 or 3. 2, 2, 1. What did we come up with? We ended up adding some kind of filter here. Let me scroll down. I'm gonna have to, I think, yeah, I've got to click into it to see. Better profit factor. What else? What else does 2 and 3 have that 1 does not have? Lower trades, sure. It filtered some stuff out. What else? Bingo, Larry. Yeah, Daniel. Lower drawdown. Look at the difference in drawdown. I mean, it's granted we're 500 risk here, so it's one less trade. It's one less trade of drawdown, but that makes a difference. It could make a difference in the long run. If you're using a bigger sample size than 25, then absolutely it makes a difference. 25 may just be it might make no difference either way, but so this is saying what it didn't tell me what it came back with. It just still says optimized. So I don't know. So VM histo was true. So I'm going to assume the other one was a non-starter then. So I'm just going to leave this as false. So let's leave it as that. Now you can go in here and optimize this if you, but look, go back to the chart and see what the chart's telling you. Is it telling you that these need to be bullish for you to get a good trade? No, I don't think so. So I don't know, but that's there for you. For me, I don't know. It's a toss up between these two because you're filtering out trades in the future, and some of those trades could be profitable. I don't know. I say we leave it as true and let's save it now. Where was it? FDAX, here we go. Okay. When I'm done running the optimization, I save it, then go to backtest. I know this seems goofy, but trust me, you'll make your life simpler. Save it again. And then run it again, just to be sure. I don't know that I trust Ninja 100% of the time. So we're going to run it again, and then we'll save it again. Yeah, so the numbers match, 7150, good. Summary, 3-point profit factor, good. Decent drawdown, good result, 68% winning. You got a 1.4 win-lose ratio, so risk to reward is 1.4 from a long-term standpoint. Looks good. Looks really good. So we'll save it again, just to be sure. You never know. There you go. That's how you optimize. Pretty simple. Nothing too strenuous. Let's go look at it and see what it would have done the last couple days because we didn't test for that. Now it's only a 2-day sample, so don't get all out of sorts if it's not good the last 2 days. Yeah, looks good. 2 out of 3. We'll take it. So those of you who are trading, I get the question a lot from my friends, my Aussie friends, my European friends, anybody who's, trading in different areas of the world. So, I mean, granted, it's not the European session, but the back test told us that. And could you optimize it for the European session? Yeah, sure. You're just going to have to run a different test. You just have to run it again. So, a good period to test. So the good question. Always save after optimize, then change the back test and save the results. Yes, for sure. Always. Because otherwise, if you don't save it, then every time you pull it up, it'll come up as an optimization versus backtest. So I think the optimization has less to do with the time frame and more to do with number of trades. If, like in this case, we only had like 35 trades to work with in our backtest sample, so you'd probably actually go back further. You want to try to start with 100 trades and then filter from there. And if you end up at 50 trades, so be it. But you want to start and try to get 100 trades worth of data. And that'll give you a really good first optimization. You don't have to do that every time you optimize, but for a first optimization, you might want to stick with that. So it has more to do with that. And then as far as how often you optimize, again, it comes down to how many trades you're taking with the system. If you take 5 trades and you've hit 2 out of 5, are you going to go back and optimize it? No. If your last 5 trades, 4 of them were losers, do you go back and optimize? Probably not. If you get more than that, if you're starting to see out of 10 trades, you're only winning 3, then you definitely would need to take a look at it. But it's more to do with how many trades you're getting out of the system. So portfolio of all 3, yes, sure, absolutely. I mean, FDAX is already shown to be a good opportunity. You've got MNQ and FDAX at least. MES, you could, if you like it, you can trade that one too. Try it out. This one, I don't know. To me, it's a little different than what I'm used to. So I personally wouldn't trade it. And it's not to say it's not great because the settings look really good. It's just not what I'm used to trading. So I would do something different. But the settings are great. They're really good. You might love them. It might hit what you're looking for as a trader. For me personally, I don't like trading less than 1-to-1-ish, somewhere in that range. But that's how I know myself as a trader. I know what my own strengths and weaknesses are. My weakness is if I get a stop out and I'm trading less than 1-to-1, I feel like every time I take a stop out, I get kicked in the gut, or maybe even a little lower. So I personally don't like it. But that's me personally. And you look at, well, the whole reason you trade algos is to trade like a quant and not trade like emotions. Yeah, but anybody who tells me they could trade like a quant without emotions is full of crap. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call it like it is. I think you're full of it. And I think eventually the emotions will catch up to us. Welcome to trading. There's money on the line. There's always emotions involved. So set yourself up for success. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't force yourself to have to choose to not be emotional. Put it into a situation where you're never going to have to be emotional because you're trading the system the way that you want to trade it. So anyway, couldn't get HG to work with any instrument. HG is different. Gold's different, completely different instruments. Got to remember too, gold and HG are not designed to go up and to the right. They're designed to oscillate. So that's a factor here too. And there's just some systems that work better with other instruments. And it could be seasonal. It could be that right now, MNQ and MES and FDAX, those are the best ones to run. That could all change in the summer because summer trading is lower and the equities don't trend as much, and crude might be a better choice then. RTY might step up and be a better option in the summer. We have no idea until we get there. But the important thing is to be flexible and understand that you're willing to pivot as you need to as a trader to get the most out of your tools. And if you need help with training on all that stuff, well, we've got a program where we educate traders, and it's a really great program. And we have a lot of traders that are funded as a result of the program. Well, as a result of themselves. The program can't take any credit for it, but we're teaching traders how to become better. So if you need help with that, we got you covered there too. In fact, we have an event next week on that. So make sure to join in for that. And we'll talk about how we can help you on that end. Good stuff. Anybody have any final questions before we go? I think we had a really great session. You guys brought a lot of really great questions, and we've covered a lot. So really great to have you all here with us in the room here as we go
Yeah,
through everything.
great session, Jim.
Yeah,
a lot of engagement, it was a very good session.
Yeah, it was great to have everybody here, and I think we found a gem with this algo. Hey, Jeff, I think
Yep.
I think this
I would
is
have to agree.
I think this is a solid, and I don't know how you guys pulled it off, but it's a great system. So
It's many months of staring at charts. How about that?
yeah, these guys, they program like it seems like they could program anything. It's amazing. They did a great job. So good stuff, guys. I hope this helps. If you're ever do me a favor, okay, I'm gonna kind of set a precedent here. Are you guys okay with that? Can I just talk to you trader to trader, no BS? Can I just kind of open up and be like, yeah, okay, so here's my thoughts. Okay, because bear in mind, I get to deal with a lot of service related issues. I'm the head of education here, and a lot of the trading related stuff comes to me. Um, Sometimes billing and sometimes sales stuff come to me too. But here's the thing. I see all sides of the equation from, and we'll just kind of go on a rant for just a little bit and then we'll wrap up. I'm a trader. I trade the markets every day. I showed you my trade report, right? There's how many trades here? 473 trades logged since July. So I trade. I trade a lot. I teach traders. I coach traders. I run a trade room on futures. I trade. So I know trading. I came to NeuroStreet and ARC AI as a trader. Now, before it was back then, we didn't have ARC. But I came to NeuroStreet as a trader first. Then I came to work here. I believe in what we're doing. We have incredible products. We have incredible services. We have an incredible team. And we actually care about our traders. We really do. Okay. I can't tell you how much goes on behind the scenes. You guys don't see that side of it. Sean and I get together regularly to talk about how we can help our traders. It's a regular thing here. Because if we're not helping traders, then why are we in business? We could go make money doing anything. It's not a cash grab for us. Sure, we have a business to run. We got to pay people. We want to grow as a company, and we have a responsibility to our investors and so on. But there's a balance there. We can't run business without money. We can't, and if we're not taking care of clients, we don't have any clients, and they won't bring us any money. So the two go together. When it comes to algos, we have to recognize the algo is a tool. The algo is not the trader. The algo is not responsible for your risk management. The algo is not responsible for how you manage your eval, how you manage your funded account. That is you. You are the trader. You are the trader. Okay. So if you experience drawdowns with an algo, if you experience losses with an algo, if you experience that the templates you deploy, be it from us, from yourself, from anyone in our community, if those templates don't do well. What do you do? What do you do in that situation? Get educated, ask for help, right? Don't go complaining to everyone who will listen because you will have people who will listen and they'll go, oh, yeah, oh my God, yeah, oh, yeah. I can tell you for every one person that complains, there are hundreds that are telling us that they love what we're doing. It happens. Is every tool going to make you tons of money? Nope. Is every trade going to be a winner? Nope. Prepare yourself mentally for that. Prepare yourself for that challenge. There will be drawdowns. If I can promise you anything, I can promise you that. The question is, how do you trade in that situation? If there's a drawdown, we can help you with that stuff. We've just gone through how to optimize the system. We've just gone through how to use the tool for what it's intended to do. Don't use it for anything else. If you use it for something else, it's not going to work. If you overly optimize the system, it's not going to work. If you try to make it something it's not going to work. So just don't even go down that path. If you need help, reach out to us. We have you covered, I assure you. But we can't help someone if they go complain to everybody else. If you complain to everybody else, I don't know how to help you. If you've already made up in your head, now I'm not saying you, I'm just saying traders in general. I'm not saying you guys would do that. But in general, if you need help, ask for help. Can you make that commitment to us that if you need help, you're going to come to us and ask for help? And if you don't like the system or it's not a fit for you, we'll switch it into something else. It's not a cash grab here. Really, we're here to help traders. Myself and the entire team, we got your back. Okay, so just know that, like, we do these events to make sure that you guys get what you need. Okay. And we'll continue to do these events because we want you guys to be successful. Everybody wins. If you make a lot of money with the algo, guess what? That helps us. So go make a lot of money with the algo. All right, that's enough of my rant. I just wanted to cover that because I feel like there can be some times where traders put too much reliance and expectation on the algo. So just we'll be realistic, level-headed, take it one trade at a time, right?
That was a great rant, Tim. I liked it.
Okay. I'm like, I'm just trying to level with me here. Trader to trader, we know how it goes, right? But our team is committed to making really, really kick-ass tools. And I mean that. Okay.
Let me just say one quick thing. You were talking about the user manual, which I agree. Great that you brought that up. Don't be intimidated by the user manual. It's like 60 plus pages long. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You can search for the section that it's organized by section. And if you can't find it that way, go to the very end of the document. There's a long table that's simply every single parameter with an explanation of what it means and what it does.
Yeah.
So even if you skip all of the written and all the pictures and everything, you can just go to the table of parameters if you don't understand what a parameter does. But it's a great tool to have available. Just download it, keep it ready. And if you need to look it up, just look it up in there.
There you go. It does. It does, Robert. I agree. Frankly, it's probably going to be a thing of the past at some point because we have a new way that it will be enhancing and cultivating a positive community. It's coming. It's going to be really cool. So has the manual changed? I don't think so. I think it should be the same since the January release. I don't know that they would change the manual to add that one added feature.
I think, whenever we add something like that, we put it on our to-do list to modify the user manual and then post a new version. Usually that comes a little later. We're very, very busy here. And so we just try to get to everything. That will happen. But for the minor changes that was just released, we haven't updated the user manual yet.
Yeah. Yeah, good deal. Yeah, sounds good. Eduardo, I think I've got a meeting set up with you, so we'll talk about that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we will never get rid of the manuals. No, no, no. No. We only get better. We never get worse. That's our mandate too, right? And I think that's been true, right, Jeff? I think you've been here longer than I have. I think we only keep getting better. At least that's what
We've
I've
come a
seen.
long way. I mean,
We
it's
have.
been a fun journey to watch this company evolve,
Yeah.
and it's really I think it's in a great place. We really do provide a lot of good tools, great tools,
Hmm.
and um, the something to back them up with. You're not just
Hmm.
buying a tool and then just left to your own to figure things out on your own. That's definitely something about this company that I really like.
I want to share something with you that I forgot to share earlier. So here's our test on NQ, right? This was our setup. 16,000. Yeah, SMC is an indicator. 16,000, 2.37 profit factor. Okay, that's what I want to highlight here. 2.37. It's a good profit factor. That's the main thing. Jim and Jeff concert, God, wouldn't that be something? So yeah, he'd tell you about his guitar. He's got a Taylor. He's got a nice one. His is nicer than mine. No
I
offense.
really like my Taylor.
Yeah, it's a good one. 2.37. I want to show you this back test. 1.77, 219 to 322. So where does this template come from? And I'm even going to show you the analysis. Oh my gosh, it took a drawdown, but it found its way out and it's at the highs. So what is this template? Where did this one come from? Well, I'll show you. This is a template that I optimized on February 16th. So we often get the question about, well, backtests are one thing. What about live trading? Okay, there's your answer. This was optimized on February 16th, and these are the results from February 19th, the following Monday, to today. So can you make money with the system? Yes, you can. Is it always going to be this good? I have no idea. But this is on MNQ, and it's on a 1,000 volume. So that should kind of tell you something, right? So I just wanted to share that with you. That's like some templates knock it out of the park moving forward. Some don't, and they need to be re-optimized. That's the reality of trading with algos. But I think we've got something really special here because when we can look at something that we optimized a month ago and it's still good, like that's a really positive sign. So just wanted to share that with you. Drawdown's a little bit higher than I would like to see, but it's $500 trades. So again, it's call it five-ish trades down. So that's the most it's going to lose. Then that's not bad. That's not bad. Does CWAP have a plan to have a setting to protect profits once profit live trade reaches X? Yes, it will. Um, you can do
That's
that.
actually something we should, make clear on how that works. Do you
We
want to
have
do
a
that?
money management setting, but it's on the day. It's not a per trade basis, Larry. The way to get around that would be to have a trailing stop. But we do have the money management on high water mark. So you can set it to if the high water mark realized plus unrealized means intra trade. If your daily, if your daily profit, if you get to 1,000, let's say, and you don't want to lose more than 500 off the high water mark, you just set this and it'll exit the trade for you. So
But no, hold on.
yeah.
Let's just make this clear. In live trading, if a money management rule is triggered, you will get a pop-up that informs you that that happened, and then you have the option to manually exit the trade at that point in time by you can do so by clicking the menu button on the window and getting the drop down menu and clicking off. There's an option called off. By clicking off, it will exit the trade immediately, and it won't take any more trades because you've now triggered money management. It will not automatically exit the trade for you if if you don't happen to be there to see that a pop-up came up. And it's a question we get a lot, and then that's just how it works. So I just want to make that clear. So we do get that question a lot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Is that any questions
Hmm.
about that?
Yep.
Okay.
And watch the brain training because we go through that in there as well. So cool. All right, we have spent enough time. Well, let's get out of here and go enjoy the weekend. Everybody enjoy. If you still have questions, just reach out to support and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, happy trading on Monday. Let's go knock it out of the park, and be sure to let us know how it's going. And if you need help, remember, reach out to us. We got you covered. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Take
Have a
care.
good weekend,
Adios.
everybody. See ya.